Any sports fan will tell you that following a team, and more so if you follow multiple teams across different sports, is an emotional roller coaster. But maybe that's not the best analogy to use because on a roller coaster, the lows are fun too. Not so with sports. Yesterday, we got the joy of MLB opening day, which of course is a major up on the roller coaster if your team wins. And even with a loss, still welcomes in hopes for a new season. So if you're a Twins fan like me, things are looking up in the world of baseball right now. If you're a White Sox, Royals, Cardinals, or Cubs fan tuning into this show, an opening day loss is tough, but you still have 161 games left, so that first game is less than 1% of your whole season, and in the long run, doesn't have a ton of meaning. On the low end of the spectrum would be the Iowa State men's basketball programs yesterday, and the women's basketball program yesterday. The men getting eliminated from March Madness after a poor showing at TD Garden against Illinois, and the women's team beginning to lose players to the transfer portal as that season starts up. But you follow that up with the excitement of the NBA and the NHL playoffs being only a few weeks away, a few short weeks out, and anticipating, whether or not your team can get in or if they have what it takes to make a deep run in that tough best-of-7 format. But ultimately, all that emotion is what makes sports such a blessing, and if you're lucky enough to open the MLB season against the Kansas City Royals, you're feeling a little extra blessed today. It is Friday, March 29th. I'm Matt Menson, and welcome to the Cornfield Sports Pod. On the mic next to me, filling in for Blake, we've got producer Vinny.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Let's dive right into that men's basketball. Let's get that out of the way first.
Let's just get the elephant out of the room.
That game wasn't pretty. You know what? Let's start at least on somewhat of a high note. We have the Wazoo game to talk about from last weekend.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go ahead and talk about that one. I mean, it was it started slow. It looked bad to start. And it proved dangerous, but it was overcome. We were tied 27 at halftime, but we followed that up with a 40-point second half.
That's all we needed.
That's what we needed. We won it by double digits. Now, Washington State, they led by as many as 8 early before the Cyclones finally kicked that offense into gear. And we were effective at making multiple threats over the course of the game. I mean, Taman Lipsey, Curtis Jones, Keyshawn Gilbert, Milan Momcilovic all scored double figures, and as a team, we shot 50% from 3. So even with the early scares from that game, we still pulled it out and did just fine.
Yeah,
but when you look at that across different levels of this sport, Washington State is not the same. Washington State is not the same team as Illinois.
No, definitely not.
And the approaching it the exact same way did not work. In that first half, Illinois dissected our defense pretty badly. We were lucky to have only allowed 36 points because the free throw line certainly would have allowed more. Us only scoring 26 in that first half, again, bad first half, bad showing. We could not get shots to fall. Our shot selection was pretty poor.
We could have had a better chance if we could actually just make a layup.
Yeah, we missed way too many layups over the course of that game.
Way too many easy layups that could have easily shifted the momentum of the game, but instead we got nervous because any single time we had a break, like a breakaway, we got nervous because there were pressure coming on us.
Right, and that's not something that you can be giving up. That's you haven't made those mistakes the entire year. Now is not the time to start.
No, definitely not.
No, it's a bad look for what that program was doing over the course of the whole year, and to just give that up like that now and play what is probably the worst ball you've played the entire season. That was not a good look.
Like, you go off on the entire Big 12 tournament. You take out number 1 Houston
Twice,
yes. And then to only get eliminated by Illinois in the Sweet 16.
Right, and everybody was talking about how this game was a matchup of the number 1 offense versus the number 1 defense. But what no one was talking about how our offense is the 48th best in the country, but prior to this game, against Illinois' 91st best defense. We should have been walking all over them on the offensive end of the floor. But again, shot selection was a killer. we did more shooting ourselves in the foot than Illinois did shooting us in the foot.
Absolutely.
Um,
Multiple times.
This was a game where I can firmly say we beat ourselves.
Oh, yeah, of course. There's no question that we definitely did.
And some of that, too, it wasn't just shot selection, although that was a major part of it, but also the fouls that we were committing as a team. It was very sloppy ball. I mean, we committed 23 fouls as a team, which is way too many. And almost all of the foul calls that were made last night were very obvious fouls. Like, the refs were letting the game get physical.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for complaints as to, the refs calling stuff soft against Iowa State, well, I'm sorry, you're at the wrong show.
Yeah, like multiple times, like people were like, "Is that a foul? Like, why is that a foul?" And you could tell multiple times it was clearly a foul.
It's very clearly a foul. A lot of times, I mean, we were pretty, egregiously knocking Illinois players over multiple times, over and over and over again.
The refs definitely did allow it to get really physical.
They allowed it to get physical, but that was a you can't call everything type of game.
Yeah, right. And like you see those games pretty often, I guess.
It does occur quite often. But
then you get the games, though, where the refs will just call everything.
Right, but those games tend not to be as physical anyway. They tend to be between less physical teams, and, I guess the refs have to earn their paycheck.
We know that for true in many cases.
Yeah, we've seen both ends of that coin. But, like, you're not going to see any blaming the refs from us for how we performed last night.
Unlike the team out east.
Yeah, the team out east that's a
whole other can of worms still.
Yeah, that's a lot of can of worms. Yeah.
But just 23 fouls as a team.
It's way too many. And the thing is, all those fouls put Illinois at the line a lot, and they easily should have been able to pull away. We shouldn't have even been able to make it close at the end of the game. But we were able to stay in this game because Illinois only missed, or I shouldn't say only missed, because Illinois missed 14 shots from the stripe.
Yeah.
So they won by 3, but, assume you make, 9 of those 14 shots.
Well, how about Terrence Shannon Jr.?
He shouldn't be allowed to step foot on a court.
Well, yeah, that is true. But at the same time, it's like, you fouled him more than anybody.
Yeah, we did foul him a lot, and Terrence Shannon Jr. played a great game.
Ooh,
but
yeah.
I'll still stand by my opinion that if you're under active criminal investigation, you should not be allowed to step foot on a court.
And we know you're from your Twitter.
I've been consistent about this.
You made mention of how if he's found guilty, all of Illinois'
wins should be vacated. Yes,
that would be.
Yes, I said it, and I'll stand by it. And I'm of the opinion that you should never. You should not be playing games or practicing. You should be under suspension from the program if you are under active criminal investigation. I said this same thing last year when the whole Brandon Miller stuff was going on down at Alabama.
Well, also, the one I remember the most is Patrick Kane. When he was under allegations, too, he couldn't play at all. So, what's different between hockey, this, and, if you're under criminal investigation, what puts you at the point of playing? How are you even still allowed?
Right, and this isn't an innocent until proven guilty type of a thing either, because it's a suspension. It's not removal from the team. So if you're exonerated, you can get put back on the team, or if the PR damage is still too much, then you can transfer.
Right.
But I mean, the damage is significantly worse to your image as a program if you're allowing a guy who is under criminal investigation for rape play, and then if he's found guilty, that's a really, really bad image for the University of Illinois.
Absolutely. There's no question that people are going to probably call for Illinois' wins to be
vacated if he's found guilty.
Definitely.
Oh, I'm already calling for that. I put that out on Twitter, I think, earlier today.
Can you imagine if they did, though? How much uproar that would cause?
I don't think that would cause that much uproar. I think people would broadly be in support of that.
I mean, yeah, but how would they? So what? Let's say they make it to the Final Four, and so
and it's vacated.
Yeah.
I think that people, broadly speaking, would be in support of that. I mean, it sucks for the other players that are on the roster, but again, have you heard any of them speak up about this?
No.
I haven't.
No.
So that makes a difference too.
Like we lost to a dude with Dennis Rodman hair.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel bad for Curtis Jones after this game too, because he played the game of his life.
Oh, absolutely. 26 points, 4 from 7 from 3, and 100% on the free throw line.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, and the rest of the team just was not there to back him up. I mean, we got a very distinct lack of contribution from Milan and from Hassan Ward. Those two together combined for a grand total of 1 point. Yeah, not a good day for those two. And Milan's been a reliable scorer for us over the course of the year. He averages double-digit scoring per game. And if we want to win games, we need Milan in double digits, and he just was not there. He wasn't getting open looks. The ball was not getting passed to him all that much.
No.
And when it does, he was going for those Dirk fades, which are, I hate to break it to you, low percentage shots. They look cool, but they don't go in that much.
And like there were like multiple instances where we were doing like an alley-oop from the free throw line, alley-ooping, and then they just completely missed.
Well, it wasn't that. It was the elbow floaters.
Oh, yes.
The elbow
those
floaters.
ones.
Elbow floaters are almost always a bad shot selection. There is very little good reason for them because if you have enough space in front of you to get a floater up, you have enough space to take another step and actually get to the bucket.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you actually do have somebody going up to catch the lob and put it down, there's no good point in throwing the ball up kind of aimlessly like that. The elbow jumper I'm not big on, but I'll take an elbow jumper over an elbow floater any day.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's not pretty to be taking that many elbow floaters. And the one time that I think that it is a legitimately acceptable shot is if you're running down at the end of the clock, you got end of shot clock or end of your game clock, and you need to get a shot off, and that's all you can get, okay. Fine, that's better than no shot at all.
Mm-hmm.
But that's pretty much all it's better than is no shot at all.
At that point, just don't even take the shot.
Right. I mean, if you've got 14 seconds left on the shot clock and you're taking an elbow floater, that's bad decision making because you need to be finding a pass or you need to go all the way to the glass. Take high percentage shots or find a different shot that is going to be higher percentage.
Mm-hmm.
You keep looking.
I want to also bring up, there were multiple instances where one of our guys would get the ball and have a completely wide open 3-point shot. Look, I don't care if you haven't.
And pass it up and go for that floater.
What I would do is I don't care how what your 3-point percentage is. Just go for it. I don't Fulton Reed in the Mighty Ducks was 1 for 5. How many times did he make crucial shots? Almost every single time.
Okay, but that's a movie and he's got plot armor.
But another one, South Carolina, Tennessee, women's basketball, final shot. That one girl had absolutely no good.
That's different when it's the final shot, though. You don't need Bob Jones shooting a 3 with 13 seconds left in the shot clock.
Just throw the shot up. If it doesn't go in, we have rebounders. Not really, but
you're better off looking for a better shot. You're a lot better off trying to take an extra 5 seconds to get Keyshawn Gilbert to the glass. Because he's going to draw contact half the time too.
All I'm saying is just take the shot and just
it's
go
better.
For it.
It's better than those elbow floaters that miss every time. But the whole point of it is about taking high percentage shots. And I'm going to be honest, I don't really care to see Bob Jones or Trey King shooting threes.
Well,
because those are also low percentage shots. It's not really much of an improvement. Yes, if they do make a stray one, it's worth an extra point. But those are going to be few and far between enough that you're going to get more points by, finding extra passes to Taman Lipsy or Keyshawn Gilbert or Milan Momcilovic because there are scorers.
Right.
Or Curtis Jones for that matter. Although Curtis is not usually on the floor at the same time as Bob. So
right. But
and next year he won't be at all because Bob won't be here.
Right.
So,
but with all that, we finished the season 29-8, which is very good.
It's a good season. Room for improvement.
But I did want to bring this up.
The defense is stacked. The offense needs some work.
Have you heard the rumors that Iowa State basketball coach is leaving?
Yeah, there's the fake on 3 stuff on Twitter. None of that's real.
You don't think it's real?
No. None of it's real. Otts isn't going anywhere. He's not. The coaching carousel isn't that heavy right now. There isn't really any more desirable jobs available.
I can't remember where he got a offer from. I know my dad told me about it, but I can't remember exactly where it was. But
again, was it a real thing or was it one of those fake on 3 reports that people put on their burners on Twitter?
I don't know. He's a Twitter guy, so I'm pretty sure he just saw it and ran with it.
It's probably a fake on 3 on Twitter.
Yeah,
because there's no jobs that are more desirable right now that are actually available.
Right.
It's not like UNC is hiring. So, but that's how that's going right now. Women's basketball, they lost to Stanford to end their season in the second game of the opening weekend of the women's NCAA tournament. They played that game a lot closer than honestly any of us expected them to. And, even though they didn't advance and it's a tough way to end the season, to be honest, I think a lot of us watched that game and were like, we could be happy with how we played against Stanford.
Trust me, dude. We were, what, number 6?
We were the 7 seed.
7 seed, yeah. We were playing against number 2 Stanford. We took them into overtime. I see that as a huge win.
And we did a great job of forcing their players into tough positions too. I mean, especially with the foul trouble, we put them in difficult positions with fouls, and that made a huge difference over the course of the game. Especially getting a lot of foul trouble on Cameron Brink. That certainly limited her. But that's the women's team finished the season 21-12. Room for improvement next year as we gain some more experience. It's going to be helpful. A year under your belt makes a huge difference. So the growth that we might get to see from Audie Crooks and from Addie Brown and Kelsey Jones and Ariana Jackson is going to be a big deal. Unfortunately, from that Fab 5 recruiting class, we're not going to get to see any more from Jalen Bristow. She was one of 3 Iowa State players to enter the transfer portal, and this one's probably the biggest stinger of the 3 because she had the most time here left, almost certainly had the most playing time left of the 3 that entered the transfer portal. But over the course of the last year, she'd been a valuable player in clutch moments, was a good slasher, good capabilities of getting to the bucket, good on the offensive rebounds. But fit next year with the team had to be a bit of a question. I think that had to play into it. Alyssa Williams did not play any at all this year. I don't remember if that was a red shirt or if it was because of the transfer rule. But either way, she'll be playing next year, and that probably factored into Jalen's decision. I know Jalen committed to Iowa State before Williams did. So when Jalen committed, she probably thought she was going to be filling that role that Williams has now.
That's true.
Also transferring from Iowa State, Shantavia Dawkins. She sat pretty much toward the back of the bench, got little to no playing time, and she's a junior this year, if I'm not mistaken. Sophomore, maybe? No, she's a sophomore this year. Shantavia Dawkins is a sophomore this year. But with the lack of playing time that she's got and all of the younger players that are sitting in front of her on the bench right now, she can't really expect to get much of a shot here anymore.
Yeah.
So like Shantavia is a wonderful person.
Oh, she's from Canada?
Shantavia is from Canada.
That's crazy.
I mean, she's a wonderful person. I'm gonna actually miss seeing her around and actually having conversations with her. But I mean, she's gonna want to go somewhere and where she can actually play some ball, because that's what she came here to do, and she hasn't been able to do that. So, and I would want her to have some success with that.
Hopefully, wherever she goes, she actually gets playing time. I mean, With what did she got playing time, right?
She every now and then she was second to last on the bench. She was ahead of MKK.
But when she did play, was she
It was garbage time minutes at the end of games
so like in like the sense of like we were up like 20
or more.
and then she just
And it was like the last 3 minutes. It wasn't much.
Did she ever get like any shots off, any time for the
I mean,
ball?
she would get a few, but not much.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough to see where
Yeah.
she goes.
The transfer situation with Shantavia reminds me a bit of what Maggie Vicks was last year, where it's, not in a good position on the roster with the positions that are already filled. Chance to go elsewhere and to actually get some time on the court and, have a better time with the sport in the limited time that you do have it, because no one plays the sport forever, so you might as well make the most of it while you can. And then our last transfer was Nyamir Dew. This was another one that was, I guess, kind of to be expected. She's graduating this spring anyway, so she'll be grad transferring somewhere else. She put in 4 years here. We got everything we asked from her.
That's all we needed at that point.
So there's, sometimes, when players enter the transfer portal, sometimes there's some hard feelings. Not in the case with these three. That's not an issue this year.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like, we talk about having issues with like the transfer situation with like Tyrese Hunter or Danae Fritz, but that's certainly not the case as it stands right now. And there's still time for more transfer portal news to come, but as it stands right now, these are all perfectly understandable transfers.
The one though that is going to be a big stinger, Jalen Bristow.
Yeah, that one will be a stinger.
That's she put up a lot of stats in her time here.
She was a clutch player when she got time, and I mean she wasn't even in the first couple players off the bench, but I mean she wasn't getting a ton of minutes, but she was still getting quality time minutes. It wasn't garbage time minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So and she came in clutch in some late game moments what we absolutely needed her to.
Mm-hmm. Like her high points for one game came against Troy back in December with 17. Looks like she played 27 minutes. I don't know if that's 27 minutes against Stanford. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah. I mean she's been a good contributor to this team, and I mean it's going to be a disappointment not having her. But again, with Alyssa Williams playing next year, that will make a difference. So we'll see what happens with that. Little bit of extra news in terms of wrestling, some postseason awards. Kevin Dresser was given Big 12 Coach of the Year.
That's right, baby.
So that's a nice little extra accolade to add to the wrestling program this year after beating the team out east at the NCAA tournament. David Carr winning another national title, being Big 12 champions, and now Kevin Dresser, Big 12 Coach of the Year.
What a time to be a wrestling fan for Iowa State.
Oh, it is wonderful right now. I am enjoying every bit of it. Other than Younger Bastida having a broken finger at NCAAs.
Right.
That hurt.
Oh, yeah.
That hurt because he would have been contending for a national title. Assuming that, because if he was fully healthy, you assume he would have won his quarterfinal bout and gone to the semifinals. He would have faced Hendrickson. The way he beat Hendrickson at Big 12s, I think it would be fair to assume that Bastida would beat Hendrickson again, and then you'd have that Bastida versus Kirkvliet matchup.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that was something that so many people were looking forward to. Yeah,
lighter note now with other sports at Iowa State. Let's move on to softball. 11-17 and 2-5 in the Big 12. Which
a lighter note, like the color of the snow that canceled the series against Texas Tech.
Hey, I like that transition.
Because that's basically what happened. Last weekend's series, which was supposed to be at home against Texas Tech, was canceled because there was like 4 inches of snow on the field.
Because we live in Iowa, and apparently they can't make up their mind about what season it is.
Yeah, no, Iowa weather is like the most bipolar thing ever. It's stupid. But currently we are in a weekend series at Baylor. Yesterday, we lost game 1 of that series, 6-0. Baylor's pitcher, Riley Crandall, pitched the full 7 innings in that game. Angelina Allen tallied ISU's only hit, and Malaysia Ochoa and Elisa Ranchez both drew 1 walk apiece. Those 2 walks were both in the first inning, and then, after the first inning, only 1 base runner the entire rest of the game. Did not go well.
No. So far, our softball season has not been starting on the best note.
No, they're 11-17 and 2-5 in Big 12 play right now, which is a better start than last year, though.
It is, but it's still not great.
I wouldn't have predicted a better start than last year without Ellie Spellhog pitching.
Right.
But, we at least we're getting somewhere. We're getting some player growth, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, definitely. 100% for that.
Game 2 against Baylor is currently happening. And then game 3 will be tomorrow at noon. And then in terms of the conference realignment stuff, we haven't really had much news on this for a while. But, there's always stuff been up in the air with Oregon State and Washington State because of that PAC situation. But there is a little bit more stability to that now, so don't look for the Big 12 to add them anytime soon, because the CW is finishing up a TV broadcast deal with Oregon State and Washington State for their home college football games for the 2024-25 season. That TV deal will have nothing at all to do with sports other than football, because all of their sports other than football, they will be under the West Coast Conference grant of rights. Yeah. But allegedly, this new deal, and I haven't seen the actual numbers for myself, so I don't know this for sure, but what I've been seeing floating about is that this new deal allegedly pays out more than any offer the Pac-12 actually received before its collapse.
Wow.
Which means there was some dead weight in that conference, looking at UCal and Stanford, that were just not contributing anything at all.
Yeah, definitely.
Because we both know, Oregon and Washington were contributing quite a bit to that conference.
Yeah.
Colorado was bringing money into that conference with Deion Sanders. Utah, with the success they're having, was bringing in money. Arizona basketball brings in money. Their football, hit or miss, but more recently they were. Arizona State is in the Phoenix Metro, I guess.
They're
in Tempe. That's Phoenix Metro.
I guess, yeah. It's right around there.
When they have a decent year in football, they're gonna attract more attention. They've been on the down low lately, but
a little
being in the metro area that they are is helpful for them because they have high potential. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess. We did skip over one thing though.
What's that?
That would be volleyball in the spring season.
Oh yes, we did miss that. Spring ball starts tomorrow. That'll be the home tournament at Hilton Coliseum. It'll start at 10 a.m. We will be hosting Drake, UNI, and that team out east. It will be 3 sets versus each team. Get to see action from some players that we haven't really gotten to see much of yet. Some transfers, freshmen, and redshirt freshmen. But those 4 to really be keeping an eye on to see what they're going to be bringing to the table. Middle blocker, Tierney Jackson, a junior transfer from West Virginia. Amiri Hendricks Walker, a redshirt junior transfer from South Florida. Setter, Emily Bobbitt, she's a freshman. And then right side outside hitter, Reagan Larkin, who is a redshirt freshman. So
of those 4 new...
Of those 4, Reagan was on our roster last year, but she redshirted. So we didn't get to see her in action.
But spring season is what that's for, and I'm excited for it.
Oh, yeah, it's first games are tomorrow, and you can count on me being there. There won't be a lot of people there because not that many people show up to spring ball, but I will certainly be there.
I also did want to mention, I looked it up. Right now, softball is in the end of the second, is scoreless right now.
Does it say who's pitching for us today?
I did not see because I looked it up on Twitter. So
okay.
I'd have to assume it's probably.
I don't know.
Yeah, neither do I. That's a Blake thing.
Yeah. Where's Blake when you need him?
He's interning.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's doing his stuff with the Iowa Cubs today.
He is.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's talk some pro ball. Let's go back to basketball real quick. NBA. Minnesota Timberwolves, 3 wins in the last week, no losses. They beat the Cavs, Warriors, and Pistons. None of these games were super high scoring. The highest scoring one among them was the Warriors, 114 to 110.
Which is a pretty good game to watch.
It's a good game. But the Timberwolves are winning with defense. The other 2 games, they only allowed 91 points.
Yeah.
They're winning with defense, but they have the offense to carry them when they need it to.
That would explain, too, why they're 50-22, second in the Northwest, and second in the Western Conference.
Right. This is a team that can win in multiple ways.
They have the defense, and that is going to win you a lot of games. Because if you can hold it, if your offense is pretty good.
If you can limit the Milwaukee Bucks, you'll be fine.
Absolutely. No question.
Yeah. But right now, the Timberwolves, they currently sit half a game behind the Denver Nuggets for that 1 seed in the West. And the question right now is can they get back to first place without Karl Anthony Towns? Because they're not going to have him until the playoffs.
That is so tough because he has been...
Cat's a great player.
Absolutely. There's
he's such a good compliment to Rudy Gobert down low. But he's also an outside threat.
Absolutely. This is
kind of like... can shoot. Cat's a threat down low, but he can shoot a 3.
Oh, yeah. And, it's so weird because it's like, can one guy make a team, that good?
Well, it's not one guy. I mean, they're stacked because, I mean...
Yeah, of course.
I mean, we all know what Anthony Edwards is capable of doing. Rudy Gobert is a great player. Michael Conley, I think, is still leading the team in assists.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got talent all around, and they can shut down stuff on defense that maybe doesn't appear in the box score, forcing missed shots. So, well, I guess that does appear in the box score, but you get the point. It doesn't get attributed to a player.
But I want to know what you think. Do you think that they can get back in the first without Cat?
I think they can. Being only a half a game behind, I mean, if they win tonight at the Nuggets, they're automatically ahead of the Nuggets.
Because how many weeks are we out now from the playoffs?
We are 2.5 weeks out from the play-in tournament.
That's about what the hockey is, too.
There's 9-10 games. Well, the playoffs for both start at the same time.
On the 20th of April?
I don't know if it's the exact same day or not. But
it's
it's always that time frame. They always overlap.
It's in that week, basically.
They always overlap. But yeah, I mean, the Timberwolves are currently a half game behind the Nuggets. So if they beat the Nuggets tonight in Denver, then the Timberwolves will be back on top of the Western Conference.
Home court advantage, though, for the Nuggets. So
yep. And then following it up, though, the Timberwolves will have some opportunities against opponents that are maybe not in that A-tier level.
That would be the Bulls.
Well, it's a descent from there because the Bulls are still the next best team that they play in this week. Because after that, on Tuesday, they'll play the Rockets, and then Wednesday, they'll play the Raptors. And all 3 of those games following the Nuggets are at home. So
that's a good homestand.
They'll all be at the Target Center for that.
Which is a great arena to go to if you haven't been.
Yeah, just don't call it Carver North.
I'm not going to try because, in my opinion, it's a lot better than Carver.
Well, yeah, Carver's an ugly arena.
It really is.
It's not a pretty arena.
It's just so weirdly designed.
It's weirdly designed. The chairs in it are brown.
Yeah. And
not cushioned.
I guess it kind of signifies I can't swear, but the S covered, the S that or the team out east is.
You said it. It wasn't me this time. Let's go.
Whatever.
All right. Milwaukee Bucks. Last week, they split the week here 2-1. Win versus the Thunder, 118-93. That's about as dominant a win as the Thunder are going to give up.
Yeah.
Loss versus the Lakers, 128-124 in double overtime.
Taking it to double overtime though was pretty.
That was an interesting game to watch. I had that one on TNT. That was an entertaining game. And that loss came despite a triple double from Giannis. 29 points, 21 rebounds, 11 assists. He played a great game, and the thing is, like, the rest of his team was there to back him up. If you're going into double overtime, you're still playing a good game. You're still playing competitive. But the Lakers were also playing competitive too, and they pulled it out very late.
Yep.
So, and then the Bucks followed that up with a loss at the New Orleans Pelicans, 107-100. That puts the Bucks at 46-27. They're the top team in the Central right now, and second in the Eastern Conference. They have passed up the Cavaliers again. They're no longer behind the Cavaliers. This one other thing worth noting for the Bucks, though, as they're getting some wins back added on here, it's one of the factors contributing to that is Chris Middleton is finally healthy again. That's a big thing for the Bucks. Because he's a good offensive, defensive balance player. He's not excelling at any one particular thing, but he takes offensive pressure off of Lillard and Giannis so that when teams are contributing their best defenders to stop those two, Middleton can blast a weaker defender. And he takes the defensive pressure off of Malik Beasley so that when the Bucks are playing tougher defensive teams, Malik Beasley isn't trying to carry that defense, and Doc Rivers' philosophy on defense has helped the Bucks a lot with this as well.
Yeah.
So the Bucks are in a good place going into the playoffs here, and in my opinion, as long as they stay healthy, they could challenge the Celtics for the Eastern Conference in the playoffs. Now, whether or not they actually will is a different question. We're talking about whether or not they can.
Not will they.
But can
but
they?
Can they? That's
and,
right.
And as long as they stay healthy, I think they can.
It's possible. I mean, it's not fully far fetched, but I mean, like, do you really?
I think, generally speaking, I think the Celtics are a better team. And if you gave them multiple series over and over and over again, I think the Celtics would win the majority of them. But that doesn't mean that the Bucks can't win a series every now and then.
I can't talk bad about the Celtics because like a bunch of my friends are Celtics fans and they listen to the podcast. So
yeah, a bunch of my friends are Blackhawks fans. One of my producers is a Blackhawks fan, and I trash talk them all the time. So
it's just my ever like dying pain, huh?
Yep. We'll get to that in a little bit. Let's talk about the Chicago Bulls before I get to the Bulls. The Bucks here in the next week. Tomorrow they play at the Hawks. Tuesday at the Wizards, and then Wednesday at the Grizzlies.
That's a road trip.
They're out of the Fiserv Forum for a while.
Yeah, but going up against the Hawks, Wizards, and Grizzlies, what do you think? Do you think that's an easy schedule for them?
They can pull 3 wins out of that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Let's go to the Bulls here. Last week, tough loss to the Celtics, 124-113. A pitiful loss versus the Wizards. You have no business losing to the Wizards. That one was 107-105. Show up, please, next time. That was at the United Center, too. And then a dominating win, bounce-back win against the Pacers, 125-99. And I like the domination in that game because it shows upside for Chicago. They've got a high ceiling. They can play well.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to have consistency. And right now, it's just not there.
The people not coming out to the Madhouse on Madison, I guess, that fans can impact the game a lot too.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, like losing to the Wizards and then following that up with blowing out the Pacers, it's too up and down to be able to have playoff success, especially when you have to play in that play-in tournament in order to get to the playoffs.
Right.
Because that play-in tournament is, if you're a 9 or a 10 seed, single elimination. And the Bulls are looking like they're going to be either a 9 or a 10 seed. They're kind of on that bubble there with the Hawks. And, the next team down is the Nets.
Yeah, they're sitting 7 games ahead of them, though.
Right, we're sitting 7 games ahead of the Nets. So if we win, I think 3 games, we're locked into the play-in tournament.
Should be, I guess, the way I see it.
And then, so it's the Hawks and us. We could flip-flop. So that's likely what that 9-10 game is. Say we beat Atlanta in the 9-10 game. That means a game against either Philly or the Heat. Miami leads the season series against the Heat right now, 2-1. They play another game on April 4th.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that shakes out. And then another thing that's worth noting too is that 7-8 game might not necessarily be Philly and Miami because the Pacers reasonably could still drop to 7th or 8th. They're only a game and a half ahead of that bubble, I think, maybe 2.5 games ahead of that bubble.
Mm-hmm. It's something like that, I think.
So there's some room for that to change. But tonight, the Bulls have a chance to increase that gap at the Barclays Center against the Nets. Sunday, they'll be in Minneapolis against the Timberwolves. And then Monday, they will return back to the United Center to play the Atlanta Hawks. All right, Vinny. Now you get to talk some puck.
Let's talk some puck. Let's start out with the Minnesota Wild. They are 39-30-4. 79 points they're sitting at. They are also sitting 6th in the Central. In the previous week, they had an OT loss versus the Blues in St. Paul, 5-4. This was a really tough OTL to take.
Yeah.
A really big one. You only are allowing 5 goals.
Only
5 goals on 27 shots.
Only 27 shots. Oh, yeah. If you're ever saying only 5 goals in regards to hockey, then
there's something a little bit different.
You know what? Let's go back to the Mighty Ducks references for a second. That's the Mighty Ducks before Gordon Bombay shows up.
Oh,
that's
9.
bad.
One was really close, though. We only lost by 5 points, and we almost scored a goal.
That's bad, though. You shouldn't be. If you're saying only 5 goals, Vinny.
Yeah.
Boy.
But for the Blues, Jordan Kyrou, he earned that hat trick. He did. And I find this also funny because in the video of the goal that Saad had scored, both Boldy and Fleury at the same time smacked their sticks against the crossbar. You know that's a tough loss at that point.
Yep.
But I just always love watching those videos of goalies just like getting more and more pissed. I think it's funny because it's like, why are you mad? It's your defense.
Well, in this case, no, it's not because the defense only let 27 shots through.
Pretty much.
That's on Fleury.
True. But on a lighter note, they did. Well, I mean, I don't really know if it's a lighter note because they played against the Sharks and won 3-1. But letting 1 goal in against the Sharks.
Well, it's better than letting 5 against the Blues.
Okay, fair.
I mean, the Blues are a better team than the Sharks by about 3,000 miles, but
any team is better than the Sharks by 3,000 miles. We already know that.
Well, the Blackhawks are by 1.
We'll get to that in a minute. The only big issue for the Minnesota Wild, though, is that goaltending is still an issue. Fleury save rate is currently .899, and Gustafsson is just
.898.
Yeah.
Tied for 36th and 38th in the league.
I mean, like, I can understand, Fleury, like, he's getting old. Like, I'm guaranteeing you, like, he's only got maybe.
And this contract is up after this year.
Yeah, I think
he's probably looking at retirement.
Either that or he's going to try to sign with another team.
On a 1-year deal, maybe. But I can't see him sticking around the league all that much longer.
But this is probably good news for Iowa Wild fans because that means they'll have to recall people.
Right, they'll have to call guys up from the AHL.
Which
now whether or not they actually are up to snuff in the NHL, we'll see.
Well, Jesper Wallstedt in Iowa is making a name for himself. So there's an opportunity.
It's one thing to be dominant in the AHL, though, and it's another thing entirely to have success in the NHL.
Yeah.
Because they're worlds different.
They may be. They're a lot different pace, but look at some of those guys right now. They've had their time in the NHL and have made it down to the AHL. Like, it's not far off. They may be different pace, but it's not too far off from each other.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Having the success in long terms, large sample size stuff, though, it usually looks very different. It's like when you talk about, we'll get to another sport here. We'll get to talking MLB in a second, but like to use a baseball comparison here, it's like talking about, how guys hit in college versus when they get to the minor leagues. It's very different.
Oh, absolutely.
You'll drop from 300 batting average to down in the 200s. You'll drop a full 100 from your batting average typically. Going from college ball to the minors.
Mm-hmm. Though, of the teams in the hunt for the playoffs, the Wild are only ahead of the Kraken and the Flames. So
they have some work to do.
They have a lot of work to do
if they want to make the playoffs.
But they're only 2 points behind the Capitals in the full league standings. So there's a big chance that they could probably jump ahead of the Capitals and get closer to that playoff spot.
They're in a bubble spot right now.
They are.
That's
They're really in the wild card.
yeah. But the next week here for the Wild, tomorrow they're going to be hosting the Golden Knights. Tuesday the Senators, and Thursday the Avalanche. So they get to stay at the Xcel Energy Center for a while.
The
and
home crowd
not have to get on planes and have terrible backs when they play.
The home crowd, though, for the Minnesota Wild is something that is really electric and really shapes how the Wild play. At least that's what I've seen. What I've been to.
The home crowd makes a big difference, and the Wild do a great job of selling tickets. So, let's talk about the Blackhawks now, who are not doing as good of a job of selling tickets. In the wins column, they have their number of wins is fire the general manager. Their number of losses is sell the team, and their number of OTLs is stop Vinny's pain.
Just please, for the love of God, just stop my pain. Well,
in the last week they got 2 wins.
That's more than we've ever seen any single time we've covered them.
It might be. But yeah, win at the Sharks 5-4 in overtime. Win versus the Flames 3-1, and then they returned to form when they went to Ottawa and got shut out.
I'm gonna say this. The Blackhawks may suck, but when you take the Sharks to overtime, I mean...
That's why I said they're only 1 mile better than the Sharks.
Just a little bit.
Just one.
But a good win against the Flames, and then, yes, they go back to the status quo when they go to Ottawa.
Yep.
Like
go right back to, embarrassing losses.
Why? I mean, is it so hard for us to just at least score a goal on the road? You remember when we went? I remember this was like a few months ago. I think they had gone over 20 games without a road win.
Yeah, it was a while.
Painful.
It was a while. But no, they got a win at the Sharks.
At.
So it is a road win. So you got that much.
Then again, I don't even think the Sharks get that many that.
Does it even count?
Yes, it doesn't count, and it won't. Not to me. The only win that counts is the Flames because we actually could get more than 2 goals.
That one was at the United Center though, so it's not a road win.
I don't care. At this point, a win is a win. And look, our minds lately have been on the draft and the free agency.
Well, yeah, that's about all that Blackhawks fans can be hopeful for right now.
But we're trying to build this team around Bedard.
And the thing is, even in free agency, I don't know what all you're going to really do with free agency because you're not in a win now mode. Not in the same way that teams like the Canucks or the Oilers are.
Right.
Where they're going to be looking to, pick up 1 or 2 more pieces going into the next year and try to dominate and go for that Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
The Blackhawks are looking to get closer to the playoffs next year.
Which we all know with the Canucks, they're honestly just going to get in the playoffs and blow it like they have every single time they've made it to the playoffs.
The thing is, that's history, but this team this year is just different with the Canucks.
They are, yeah.
It's something about them just plays different than Canucks teams of the past, and maybe it goes the same way. It still could. You can't rule that out.
No.
But I'm not going to make any guesses based on their playoff teams of the past with this team. I don't really know what to predict for the Canucks in the playoffs.
Yeah, I guess. Though, upcoming, tomorrow they will travel to...
For the Blackhawks.
For the
Blackhawks, not the Canucks.
That's what I meant. They will travel to Philadelphia to play the Flyers, and on Tuesday, they will travel to the great state of New York to play...
Great-ish.
They will travel to New York to play the Islanders. And let's cap this NHL section off with the only actually probably good team in the entire Central.
They're going to the playoffs, so barring a complete and utter disaster, they're going to go to the playoffs.
Right.
Though,
previous week we talked about it. They got a win against the Wild in OT. Jordan Kyrou with the hat trick, and Saad with the OT winner. St. Louis is only 3 points above the Wild in the standings for the Central.
Yeah.
Which, wow, they're closing in.
Yes, they certainly are.
And then they went back to St. Louis. Unfortunately, that could not result in a win as they lost 2-1 against the Golden Knights in OT. The Knights ended up taking the series with this game. 2 of the 3 games, that they had went into OT. The first one was a win for the St. Louis, and the next 2 games afterwards were wins for the Golden Knights.
See, the Blues could be an exciting dark horse.
Oh,
in May.
absolutely. No question.
Are they going to be the favorite? No.
No.
They're not going to be a favorite.
But
could they do some damage? Could they pull the kind of thing that the Florida Panthers did last year?
Absolutely.
If any team is going to be equipped to do it,
look at what they did in
the Blues.
2019. They were the wild card team. The Blues were the wild card team going in, and they won the cup.
The Blues are in a good position to come out and surprise some people in the playoffs this year.
Absolutely. And then Vegas now is only 4 points behind Edmonton, and I believe that Edmonton is sitting really high in the standings.
Yeah, Edmonton's got a good team. So
Vegas is at the point now where they might be they're trying to get that high spot.
Yeah, it'll end up mattering when the final standings come out and you determine who's going where. So
yeah,
it'll make a difference.
And then after that, they decided to take out their frustration and beat the Flames 5-3. The one that caught my eye here was that Jordan Binnington had 2 assists. Now, you don't see that pretty often from a goalie.
No, that's a really bizarre stat.
Like, it's rare to see a goalie make an empty net goal, but to see him get 2 assists is like...
That's bizarre.
Yeah, but it's good on him.
Like, that's beyond strange. That's just outright nuts. And you just don't see that.
That actually helps the Blues because they now move to 7-1-1 in the last 9 games.
Yeah, they are a hot team right now. This is another one of those reasons why I'm saying they could be dangerous, going into May.
They will be very dangerous.
They're peaking late in the season, which is exactly what you want.
Right. And they are 5 points behind the Kings for the wild card race. So it's kind of interesting too cuz I remember for the longest time the Kings were the bad team.
Yeah, now if you go out west, the bad teams are the Sharks and the Ducks. So,
you're a pain.
Yeah, it hurts, but we don't cover them on this show,
sadly.
Yeah, upcoming for the Blues, tomorrow they will play the Sharks, so then they'll be 3 points behind the Kings instead of 5. And then Monday they'll play the Oilers. That one will be back at the Enterprise Center as well. And then after those 2 games in St. Louis, they will take a trip to Bridgestone Arena in Nashville and play the Predators.
Big week coming up for them.
Yes, it is.
Because they need these points.
Even
just taking them into OT or anything, like extra time, getting that 1 point is going to be crucial for everything.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But let's talk
about your favorite sport.
Let's go to baseball. Dude, yesterday was just joy. Turning big inning on for the first time since what is it, September? I don't think they don't do big inning in October.
I don't think so.
Yeah, turning on big inning, MLB big inning for the first time since September.
I would say, in my opinion, this whole coming season is probably the best season. You have both NHL and NBA playoffs, March Madness.
March Madness has got a weekend and a half left
still, and we got the start of MLB.
Yep, opening day was yesterday, and of the teams we cover here, only one of them got a win, and it was mine. So let's talk about that first. It's a good thing to talk about. Twins W at the Royals, 4-1. Pablo Lopez got the start. He got the win. Good day for the Twins ace. More so a dramatic day for Royce Lewis. Solo blast on the first at-bat of the season. Great start. Awesome to see Royce Lewis back. Next at-bat, base hit. Going around the bases after that, quad injury. He left the game on third base, and Edward Julian pinch ran for him. Eddie Julian also added an additional hit later in the game from that third slot in the batting order. But, with Royce Lewis's injury history, seeing him go down with a quad injury was a bit concerning.
Rounding the bases, too.
And the Twins game is starting about right now. He was listed as day-to-day, so we'll see what the situation is with him. This is also a good day, good way to start the season for Carlos Correa. 3 hits, 2 RBIs, coming off of his worst season in Major League Baseball. So this could be a good bounce back year for Correa. Cole Reagans pitched well for Kansas City, but there was some room for improvement. He did allow 5 hits, 3 walks. But on the bright side for Reagans, 9 strikeouts in only 6 innings. Now, the ice for this game came in the 9th inning with the Royals reliever Chris Stratton allowing 2 insurance runs for the Twins when the Twins were only up 2 at the time. And then with the Twins up 4-1, Griffin Jacks followed it up in the bottom of the 9th with the save. So the Twins, they will continue their 3-game series with the Royals. They're starting their game about right now.
You said they're starting the game now?
Yeah, they were slated for 3:10, I think.
I see that they play tomorrow at 3:10.
Am I tweaking here?
I think you might be, because I see on ESPN they have it playing 3:30 at 3:10.
Let me take a look here, because they do play tomorrow as well.
Unless because they beat the Royals 4-1. So
maybe I misread the schedule.
I think you might have. I think you might have accidentally added in.
Yep, you're right. You're right. It says Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So they're not playing right now. They'll play tomorrow at 3:10.
Take a day off and get well rested.
All right,
especially for Royce Lewis.
Yeah, he's listed as day to day, so hopefully that means he can play again tomorrow. And then so after that series against the Royals, the Twins will get a day off, and they'll take a trip to Milwaukee and have a 2-game series there. And then their home opener will be on Thursday against Cleveland.
And will you be there?
I will not, because,
school.
Yeah, I got stuff in Ames that I got to be here for. Let's go to the White Sox. They opened the season with a loss to the Detroit Tigers.
Haha, Dad, your team sucks.
Yeah, the White Sox were only able to get 3 hits versus Tariq Skubal. He claimed the W for the Tigers. Garrett Crochet takes the L. 5 hits, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts. The only score of the game came on an Andy Ibanez RBI. Javi Baez scored for the Tigers. And for the White Sox, you're looking at this and you're going, man, what a waste of a start by Crochet.
Dude, I say this almost every year since he left, but it's just so weird to hear Javi Baez not be on the Cubs.
Well, he's not as good as he was when he was on the Cubs, so, take it as you will.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was a lot better about 6 years ago. So.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yep. But yeah, the White Sox, they will continue their 3-game series against the Tigers. They'll follow it up with a 3-game series versus the Braves, and then their first road trip will begin Thursday at the Royals.
Your Royals. No.
My Royals.
I was thinking of the Twins.
I'm wearing a Twins shirt right now.
That's my buddy who's a Royals fan.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm now the one that's tweaking.
Yeah, we at least I didn't say the team out east's name.
Hey, shut it. You can censor that.
Anyway, a little bit of extra news for the Royals. Found this out just a little bit ago. Royals prospect Reed Rollman died at the age of 29. This was just released in a report by the Associated Press. He was an all-ACC outfielder for Clemson, played minor league ball for 3 years, and no cause of death was actually given in the AP report. So it's tough for his family. Condolences to them, to the Royals. Tough situation to be in around that. But the Royals, after their series with the Twins here, they will travel to Baltimore for 3 games or 3 losses at the Orioles. Then they'll come home to host the White Sox for 4 games.
I do want to say I did look it up, and it seems that the cause of death was a car accident.
Car accident for Rollman? Okay. The original AP report that was released earlier today did not have a cause of death listed, but...
Also, can we talk about something with the Royals, too? The fact that Andy Reid
did the opening pitch?
Threw the opening pitch, and it was...
Who else are you going to give the opening pitch to?
Mahomes, Kelsey.
Reid is the one that puts that whole thing together.
Okay, yeah, but anybody else could have done it.
I would have given it to Reid.
But everybody agrees that it was one of the best first pitches ever.
Oh, yeah, it was. No doubt.
Either way.
Good first pitch.
Yeah, it was good. But condolences to Reed Rollman and his family.
Javi Baez would have swung at Andy Reid's pitch.
He would have.
He probably did. Probably did.
In
Probably
his imagination.
sensed that ball all the way from guaranteed rate field and just took a swing.
Yes.
So that's probably how that went. Anyway, Milwaukee Brewers are still 0-0 on the season because their game against the Mets was postponed to today. So they will open today against the Mets. And that's about all the new information for them. Not a lot to talk about since their season hasn't technically started yet. Chicago Cubs, on the other hand, I guess made Cardinals fans slightly happier at the end of the day because the Cubs lost at the Rangers.
That's my team.
Yep. They lost at the Rangers 4-3 in the 10th inning. And the Cubs, they took a 3-2 lead in the 9th inning, but Adbert Azole was unable to get the save. Gave up a homer to Travis Jankowski, who came in for the Rangers to pinch hit for Ezekiel Duran. And that tied the game up at 3. And then in the 10th inning, Drew Smyly threw 2 walks before Jonah Heim singled to center, and Josh Young scored on the walk-off.
What is it?
And so Drew Smyly took the loss for the Cubs.
What is it with Chicago teams and just giving up leads?
You're talking to a Bulls fan, I know.
And you're also talking to a Blackhawks fan and a Cubs fan.
Well, the Blackhawks don't give up leads because they don't have them in the first place.
Let's move on.
Anyway, the Cubs, they will continue their 3-game series against the Rangers, and then they will host the Rockies for 3 games.
You mean the Rockies that just gave up
14 runs in an inning?
In 1 inning to the Diamondbacks?
Yep, those very same Rockies. The Rockies that started their own bizarre TV contract thing with Major League Baseball because nobody wanted to carry them.
I remember that. That was funny.
That was an interesting thing over the last year. Blackouts are weird. Blackouts suck, and the MLB needs to do some stuff to get rid of the blackout situation because it's terrible. Iowa is blackout purgatory. We cover 6 different teams in the state of Iowa. There's 6 different teams that claim Iowa as their territory. And you know how many of them I have access to the games of to watch the full broadcast?
How many?
1.
I was about to say.
I get the White Sox on NBC Sports Chicago. That's it. I don't
do you have YouTube TV?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
because there's no marquee, so I can't get the Cubs, and there's no Bally Sports, so no Twins, no Royals, no Brewers, no Cardinals.
Yeah, that's pain for you. I can tell.
This is part of why I enjoy Big Inning so much.
That is true.
Because you know what, I can get that through At Bat and pay like $6 a month, and I get all the radio broadcasts. I get all the minor league baseball that I want, and because I can watch those games. So I like watching my Colonels, and then I'll listen to the radio broadcast for the Twins every now and then, or I'll watch the games on Big Inning, because I can get 4 times the amount of baseball in that way. So that's the way that goes. But follow the Cornfield Sports Pod on Twitter at CSportsPod. Blake, you can't find in this room, but you can find him on Twitter at BlakeAttack1846. You can find me at SFMattISU. Vinny, where can they find you at?
You can find me at VinaciousD23. Think of the band Tenacious D. Just replace 10 with Vin and Acious, and then just D, and then 23.
All right. Tap the follow button on Spotify, the plus button on Apple. Subscribe to us on YouTube and on Rumble.
I'm Vinny Cataldo.
I'm Matt Menson, and this has been the Cornfield Sports Pod.